Hey everybody. So in this video we are going to be verifying basic trig identities. So in this problem we have 1 minus cosine squared over 1 plus sine x, and this should equal sine x. Now normally when you have fractions like this on the left hand side, it's always going to be easier to work with what looks to be the most complicated. It's going to be a lot easier to reduce this to sine than it is to rewrite sine and expand it out to get something, kind of crazy like this. So you have to remember that 1 is technically a fraction. It's 1 over 1, and in order to subtract fractions you need common denominators. So let's go ahead and do that here. So the common denominator is going to be 1 plus sine x. So here we can multiply by 1 plus sine x, and we'll put that over 1 plus sine x. So now what we have is 1 times 1, which is going to give us 1, and 1 times sine x, which is going to give us sine x. And then we can rewrite this all as one fraction since our denominators are now the same. So we have 1 plus sine x minus cosine squared x, and this is all going to be over 1 plus sine x. Now remember, we want this to equal sine of x. Now, one thing you should notice is that we have a sine x here, and a sine x here, and then we have this trig expression we really don't like, cosine squared, because it's not sine x and it's going to be kind of hard to combine our like terms. So what we want to do is direct our attention over here to our Pythagorean identities. And we see here that sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. So we have cosine squared here, and we have cosine squared here. So what we want to try to do is, can we rewrite cosine so that it is in terms of sine? So let's try this. Let's say if we took this sine squared and moved it to the other side of the equal sign. Now what we have is cosine squared. Cosine squared equals 1 minus sine squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 1 minus sine squared and replace the cosine squared with that. So we have 1 plus sine x minus, and then we're going to put this binomial in parentheses, 1 minus, and this is all going to be over 1 plus sine x, and this will equal sine of x. Now we're just going to do a little bit of distribution. We're going to take this negative and distribute it to both terms inside the parentheses. So we have 1 plus sine x minus 1 plus sine squared of x. This will all be over 1 plus sine of x. Now here, what you should notice is that these 1's are going to cancel. So what you're left with is sine x plus sine squared. So here we have sine of x plus sine squared of x. And this is all going to be over 1 plus sine of x. Now, here, looking at this, we want to think, we know that this equals sine of x. So this 1 plus sine of x down here in the denominator, we really need this to cancel out because we just want to be left with sine x here. So we want to think, is there anything we can do with this numerator that we can make it to where we have 1 plus sine x? And for that, we're going to have to factor. Here I have 1 plus sine x. This will be all over 1 plus sine x. So here my binomial of 1 plus sine x reduces, and I'm left with sine of x. All right, that's going to be all in this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and we'll see you all in the next video.